Hi everyone, my name is Bryan Striegler and I'm a wedding and high school senior photographer from Fayetteville, Arkansas. I'm a huge fan of flash photography and I've just always thought it was really cool the things you could do with it. There's so many creative ideas and things you can do that you can't do with just regular natural light. In these videos, we're going to test out some of these different things and we're going to take your flash photography skills to the next level. And we're going to do this by adding in creative gels. A little warning before we begin. If you know nothing about off-camera flash or flash photography, then this probably isn't the video for you. We're not going to talk about the basics. So if you don't know what you're doing, you probably want to go do something else. Now, if you know a lot about flash photography and you've been doing it for a long time, you're in the right place. We're going to do some things that are different and we're going to teach you some things to really separate you from all the other photographers out there. All right, so let's get into the basics of gels. So, what is a gel? A gel is a material that goes in front of your flash, and what it does is it affects the color of the light coming from your flash. There are a ton of different options out there for buying gels, just like there's a ton of different colors. I mean, you can see just here that I have a handful of different colors that come with this. So let's talk briefly about all the different options for you. Certain flashes actually come with gels included. My Nikon SB910 came with these two gels, and these just pop right onto the front of it. Another good option, and a really cheap version, are these little plastic ones. So these gels just slide into the front of your flash and they just kind of hang over the top of them. And there's a lot of different colors and options that come with these. Now, if you have big studio strobes, you can also use gels. This package is for that. So basically you have all these different sheets and you attach them to your studio flash. You can do it in different ways. You can clip it onto the reflector, you can tape it on there. Some even come with little things that you can just slide it in and it goes there. So if you have big studio flashes, you can also get gels for those. Today, I'm going to be using the mag gels. Now this is part of a system from MagMod, and I really like the way it works. It's been really simple and it's really high quality stuff, and I just loved how quickly it goes. So in this situation, you have the little gel holder, and all you have are these different hard plastic gels. I really like that they're hard so you don't feel like you're going to tear them, you don't feel like they're going to rip. And all you do is you put it inside, and there you go. And you can switch them out, it's relatively easy. And the cool thing is, on the back you have these magnets, and they will just stick to the mag mods, and you can just change it that quickly. It just goes on and off just like that. So no matter what you're using, whether it's big flash, little flash, whether you have a ton of money or basically no money at all, there are options out there for you. So get out there, get some of these, and try some of the things we're doing. So before we get started, guys, let's talk about how we're going to fire these flashes. So you're going to need a trigger. Now, there are a lot of options out there on the market. What we're using today are the RadioPopper Jr2s. Now, I use the original JR system back probably like 5 years ago. It was a really cool system, really reliable, and they've made a lot of improvements with this system, and we're going to talk briefly about what you can do with it. All right, to set this up, it's real simple. There's a hot shoe on the top. You take your flash, you simply slide it on, lock it in place. You turn your flash on, and then on the front, there are only 3 buttons on this receiver, so it's a pretty simple setup. You hold down the power button. It does a little flash. That tells you it is connected. I now have control of this flash, and that's pretty simple. There's some other things you can do, like you can change the different channels and put this in different groups, but again, we're not going to go into that much detail. All right, guys, this is the transmitter. This is going to tell our flash to fire. It's real simple and easy to use. So you just slide it on, hold down the power button, and then it lights up. There are 4 different numbered buttons here. Each one of those controls a different channel or a different flash. We only have 1 flash on here right now, so it'll only be using channel 1. All right, so the really cool thing about this is I can control the power of the flash from the transmitter. This means I don't have to run over to my flash and make adjustments on the back. So sometimes I'll put my flash really far away. I might put it on the other side of the road. I might put it up in a tree. I don't want to have to go to it every single time to make those changes. So instead, all I have to do is twist this little switch back here and spin it, and then it makes the adjustment automatically. This is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of effort. Alright guys, so on this first setup, it's going to be relatively simple. All we're doing is changing the background color. So what you have to do is you're going to have a gel and you're going to use it to light the background, and it's going to change the color of it. So that means you can make the background whatever color you want. So you aren't going to have to go out there and buy 10 different backdrops for every different color that you're wanting to do. This is a really simple thing to do. It will also save you a ton of money. So this will work in different situations better than others. In our situation, what we're going to do is we're going to have a white roll of paper as our background. That gives us a pretty clean thing to start with, and what we'll do is we'll just light that white paper up. Now, if you don't have that, you can use this on certain situations, like maybe just a plain wall. The problem is though, when that wall has a color, it's going to affect the color of the gel. So the easiest way to do this is with a plain white piece of paper, but if you don't have that, you can change the color of other walls or different backdrops as well. As far as placement, what we're going to do is we're going to have our subject, and then we're going to have the flash behind them shooting the gel and the light onto the backdrop. So the color shouldn't hit our subject at all. Now, a problem we might run into and we'll have to deal with, the flash might bounce off of the paper and then come back and light and add a little bit of color to our subject. So what we're going to have to do is make sure our subject is far enough away from the backdrop so they don't get a green color on them or a blue color on them or whatever color it is we're using for the backdrop. Alright guys, we are set up and we are ready for our first section, our first shoot. I have the lovely model Lauren here. She's going to be helping us without the entire day. I'll make sure we give her information if you want to follow her. She is a young star here in Fayetteville and she's doing some cool things. So for this first one, we are going basic. But this is actually something that could save you lots of money and be a really helpful thing. So backdrops are expensive. I own like maybe 3, maybe 4. If you want to change the color of your backdrop, you would have to go and buy different backdrops. With this situation, we are going to change the color of the backdrop just by using a gel. So the cool thing is that means whatever color gel you have, you can turn the background into that color. So if you have 15 different gels, you have 15 different backgrounds. It's pretty simple. As I mentioned earlier, a white background is usually the easiest color to change, but you can change a regular wall into a different color if you really want to. It's just a little harder to do because the color is already on the wall. So in our situation, we are going to have a blue background and it's going to be a different shade than her outfit, so that's going to look kind of cool, be a little contrast to what she has on. So we're going to set this up, we're going to start rocking and rolling, and we're going to see how this turns out. All right, so we're ready to move on to our second setup. So in this situation, we've changed things completely and it's going to get a totally different feel than our first setup. So we are having our backdrop now be a black piece of paper. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to eliminate all color around them. Everything in here is going to be dark except our subject. And what we're going to do now is we are going to light our subject with one colored gel. So they are going to be one color, everything else is going to be dark, and it's going to be a really dramatic, cool look. Alright guys, so we're here, we're ready to do our next setup. We've got our black paper set up in the back, so we're changing the way this looks. We are going to isolate our subject, we're going to have them stick out and not have everything else kind of show up. So the whole scene is going to be dark, except our model is going to be lit up with that one flash. Now, as far as the way we're doing it, I have our Mag Mod Gel here. We've chosen red because she liked it. And it is going to be very simple to set this up. I am also going to be using a mag grid. Now what this does is it keeps the light from spreading and bouncing and going everywhere. Because again, we are focusing that light on her. We want her to stick out. We don't want anything else to stick out. So again, how easy this is. It just sticks there. Same thing with this. It just sticks there. If I decide I don't want it, it pops off. If I decide I want to change the gel, I just take it out and we put a new one in. It's a very simple system, very easy to use. As far as the placement of the light goes, we're going to keep it relatively close to her because the further away it gets, the more the light's going to spread and the more is going to be lit up. We are really going to be focusing kind of in the head area So we want the light relatively close, so just her face is going to be lit up, and that's where the eye is going to be drawn. That's where the attention is going to be. So we will mess with this a few different ways. We'll move it around. We'll tell her to look different ways, so we'll get some different looks. But in general, this is the setup for the first shot. One gel, one flash with a mag grid on it and a dark background. Okay, so we actually changed things up a little bit. We decided to do something a little differently just to show that you can get another look with only using one flash. So in this situation, what we did is we moved the flash behind her. It's kind of hard to see exactly, but it's probably about a good 6 inches behind her. So what's going to happen is when she turns and faces that way, the light's barely going to hit her. It's only going to light up part of her, which is cool because then we have this one area that's really dark in shadow and we have another part that's all lit up in red. So if you're looking for something a little different, you can try this setup. All you do is you simply move the light behind your subject where only part of the flash is going to hit them. All right, guys, so this third setup, we're gonna get even more complex than what we were doing. We were using just one flash and one gel. We are now doubling it. We're gonna have two flashes, two different colored gels. So the cool thing is one part of our model is gonna be one color and then another part is going to be another color. You see this a lot in movies. So like one part might be orange and then they might have another, like the back of their hair might be blue, showing that there's like a different color. So this is a really cool technique to kind of create some drama, create some mood. As far as picking those colors out, I can't tell you necessarily what colors to pick, but what you might try is looking at a color wheel and looking at the complementary colors. So these are the colors on the opposite spectrum of each other, and those usually look pretty good together. So that'd be something like an orange and blue, or you can get different shades of that color. So maybe try some out, see what you think, and go with that. All right, guys, we're moving on to our next setup. We are going from one flash with one gel. Now we have two flashes and two gels. We have two different colors. On this one, we have a blue, and the one behind me, we have an orange. So it's gonna create a nice mixture. We are gonna do two different setups for this. Right now, the way I have this set up, it is going to split her down the middle. That means half of her is gonna be orange, half of her is gonna be blue. So depending on where we put the flashes and kind of where her body position is, that will kind of affect what part of her is what color. So we'll do a few different things, but right now it's basically gonna be right down the middle, half blue, half orange. All right, guys, we now have changed things up even a little bit more. We still are just using two lights and two gels, but we've moved them to create a completely different look. Instead of just splitting her with split light, we now have two different angles, two different positions. We now have a main light and we have a hair light, or also called a kicker light. The main light is blue, and so the majority of her will be blue. And the orange backlight is only going to catch probably part of her hair, maybe part of her shoulder, and just kind of outline the back part of her, so you just have a little bit of contrast in the colors. All right, guys, so we're moving on to our fourth different setup for today. Now, this setup is kind of different. It's kind of interesting. You don't use it a whole lot. but I kind of like using it in special situations. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a silhouette. Now the interesting thing is the background will still be a different color. So as far as how this works, we'll have our subject and there's going to be no light coming on the front of them. We are going to take our flash and our gel and put it behind them and aim it at the wall. So what this is going to do is it's going to light the wall and kind of wrap around them, and so we're going to see an outline of them and it's going to be all that one color, but then they're just going to be a dark silhouette. So it's a pretty cool look. You may not use it a ton of times, but you might just pull this out occasionally and get something completely different. So we're going to be creating a silhouette. So basically we're going to have the flash bouncing off of this wall and it's going to be coming back. There's going to be no light on the front of her, so all we're going to get is this outline of her body. Now in these situations, when you're doing a silhouette, body shape matters a lot. If you don't do anything with your body, all you're going to see is this blob of black, and it's not going to be very interesting. So when I do silhouettes, I always think, okay, we have to have some kind of shape to the body so we can see actually what it is and what's going on. For us, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do yet, but it's going to be something interesting, and she's just going to make this shot really cool. Or at least I'm putting a lot of pressure on her. We'll see what happens with this. So when you do these shots, remember again, you have to do something to show off the edges of the body. You don't want one giant blob or it's not going to look very neat. All right, so we're going to try this out. We're going to see what happens. All right, guys, I hope you had as much fun today as we did. We did several different things. I showed you a lot of different things that you can do with gels. Just opens up the possibilities. You can do all types of creative things just with maybe one gel, or maybe if you have two flashes, but there's a lot of different things you can do. So if you've been messing around with off-camera flash and you want to try something new, I highly suggest you go get some gels and just practice, try it out, and see what you do. In the future, we're going to be creating another video to show even more ways that you can use gels to create something really different and neat. So be on the lookout for that future video, and thank you so much for watching.